Hello everyone, welcome to another video from Fantasy Football Scout. This is Gianni's team selection ahead of game week 4. And of course, I'm joined by the infamous Gianni Buttice. In different surroundings today. Gianni, where are you?
Yeah, I'm in Northern Ireland, which is lovely. I've been at a wedding, still podding as always. But yeah, I'm in a sort of studio accommodation, which is like kitchen, lounge, dining room, bedroom, all in one room, which is great, lovely and open plan, and amazing view out onto the ocean. Um, but it does mean I've got my 10-week-old daughter in the same room as me at all times, which when you need silence isn't always the easiest thing in the world. So if you might hear a few baby noises in the background.
Well, she's obviously destined to become a YouTube streamer one day. So this is kind
Yeah.
of like her first foray into that kind of side of things, right?
Making her debut on Fantasy Football
There you
Scout.
go.
She's starting at the top, mate.
There you go. Get her on the books. Get her on the books. We'll come up with better stuff than what we're going to talk about in this episode, but we'll do our best. Before we do that, let's talk about our sponsor for this video series and partner with Scout on the channel. It is, of course, Fantasy5. If you're not familiar with Fantasy5, it is a free-to-play game. You can play alongside your other fantasy games. You pick 5 players across 5 different matches. They all have a fantasy point target, and they earn points similar to FPL, goals, assists, clean sheets, but no bonus points. Gianni and I have played this for a couple of seasons. We've been close, but not quite made it. We did not do particularly well last week. Gianni, we went for Tielemans, Neco Williams, and Cucurella, who all blanked. And we went for Zinchenko, who got 6. He needed 6.5, so he needed some attacking returns. And we went for Gundogan, who scored, but he needed 7.5, so he needed one thing extra. The good news, if you want to call it that, is that you couldn't have won last week because the Everton and Nottingham Forest match did not have any players that outscored their fantasy targets. But looking at some of the other games, in the Arsenal game, you had Odegaard and Saliba, both who scored. Yep. Che Adams for Southampton came off the bench, I think, and got a couple.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, Leeds. If you went for the Leeds boys, Aronson and Rodrigo, sometimes it's not always best to go for the the pricey Chelsea assets. Go for kind of the differentials. And Newcastle, Man City, no Man City players, which was surprising again. But if you'd gone for Almiron or Maximan, I know. They would have hit it. Do check it out. There's links in the description. Make sure you go through those links as well. Also on the screen are some QR codes, which I'll put on the screen now, which should help you if you just want to take. If you're on your phone, just take a screenshot of this. Go to your photos, and then you can just click on the barcodes of these, and it will take you straight through to the game if you're feeling particularly lazy. There's loads of weekly prizes. They give away a monthly prize as well in like the league system. There's Champions League final tickets for the overall winner as well. So yeah, check out Fantasy5, free to play, £10,000 to win each week. Right, Gianni, let's talk FPL. Let's talk game week 3. I've got your team up on the screen. You can see you got a green arrow this week. 60 points. Yep. Ward in goal. Trent, Cancelo and Williams, 2 zeros and a 1 there. But Zinchenko and Perisic, we're going to talk about him, with 12. Martinelli with 6. Salah with the 16 and the captaincy. And then returns from all your forwards. Haaland 6. Jesus 4. Tony 8. And on your bench, Iverson, Andreas with 8. Reed with 2. And of course, Leon Bailey, mass sold, gets a return off the bench. How you feeling? Good week? Decent?
Yeah, good week. Good week on the template, which is kind of what I'm playing against. Like at this point in the season, I don't take overall rank too seriously, but what I do take seriously is how I'm performing against people that I think I'll be competing against at the end of the season, right? So those that will be really engaged managers who kind of are often on Twitter, and the Twitter template is strong for a reason. So I like to judge my week each week at this point in the season against that Twitter template. If I'm not, I've got a lot of template players. I'm not saying I've got a completely maverick team, but at the same time, I don't have the double City or the double Liverpool defence like a lot of them. I don't have Chelsea defence like a lot of them. So I see my team as quite anti-template. And this week, my Twitter timeline was full of everyone saying, "Oh, what a rubbish week! Got 20 points, got 30 points." And yeah, the Twitter template had an absolute shocker. All the premium defenders pretty much didn't deliver. I think I tweeted on Monday night something like Trent, Robbo, Cucurella, James and Cancelo, collectively, all those 5 defenders, 5 of the best defenders in the game, got 3 points.
Yep. Crazy.
So yeah, I think it's been a good week for me in comparison. It's not a huge score on top of them, but it's 20 points on the template, so I'll take that. I'm disappointed I didn't go Andreas. And
Mm.
for bench points, you often go, "Oh, it's fine." I wasn't considering that player anyway. I was never going to start Leon Bailey, so I don't mind that he got 5 points on the bench. Like I thought he would be benched. I didn't consider starting him. All week I was on Andreas and Williams was benched, and then literally 30 seconds to the deadline, I had that I'm going to go Williams instead, and it was causing me a headache for days. But I wish I'd gone with my head there. I went with my heart on Williams, having seen how attacking he was versus West Ham. But my head was telling me that Fulham fixture at Craven Cottage, you back the newly promoted teams when they play at home. And yeah, it was high scoring against Brentford, and it was a game to have Andreas. He looked really good.
They never work. Last minute changes of mind just before the deadline never work. It's just a classic thing. I mean, it was a 50-50 decision between them. I don't own Williams, but I would have probably gone for him, I think, given that Everton have got no striker and things. But it's easy to say, look back at it and say, okay, yeah, Fulham were at home, and yeah, we saw Forest away from home. They weren't that good, but yeah, it's just a toss up. It's just when it's 7 points, it feels like a lot because those
7 points this week would have been huge for me. Like that, I don't know what that would have done to my rank, but I'm guessing that's something like an additional couple of 100,000 places, maybe more.
Yep, absolutely. Let's talk about Perisic. Perisic came in for you. You were someone like me who you started with him, right?
We both had him game week 1, didn't we? And when we're just not selling him, we'll give him till game week 3. If he doesn't start game week 3, we probably both would have sold him. But he started for us and delivered, didn't he? And I knew he'd start. I tweeted in the week saying he'd start. I was really confident. The only thing I wasn't confident about was, will he get to 60? I was really worried that he'd start and play 58 minutes because we know he's not going to be a 90-minute man. But he was all over them. Like he was Spurs' best player in my opinion. He created a couple of big chances for Harry Kane that Kane didn't score. So again, like the 3 bonus was just locked in for him, which is so good. He's going to be a bonus points magnet. I don't mind if this guy plays 2 in 3 starts. Those 2 starts, I'm really expecting points. Like he's too good value.
800,000 places. Those 7 points would have put you up. I don't know if that makes you feel better or worse, but I thought I'd just have a quick look.
In a way that makes me feel better to know it's so tight.
It's like, so tight.
I can get 7 or 8 points up on the average, say next week, and go, wow, that's a huge jump. So it's good to know it's so tight, I guess.
Yeah,
but wow, that is quite something.
Absolutely, I know. I mean, for people who feel like they've had a rough start to the season, it just shows that a couple of picks, maybe outside of what other people are going, it can all turn around so quickly. Let's come back to Perisic quickly. I mean, would you buy him if you didn't have him? Would you buy him? I feel weird about him. I don't know. I'm kind of scared of him.
It depends who I'm selling. I wouldn't be selling a Liverpool or Man City defender for Perisic, knowing the Liverpool Man City fixtures. I don't think I would be. But yeah, outside of that, I would be. I'd be if I was looking at perhaps creating some funds out my midfield and going a budget defender, a 4.5 up to Perisic. Yeah, the attacking returns are going to be so good this season. Like he is a wide forward. He's a wide forward. He's as attacking as Kulusevski on the right. It's like him and Kulu are pretty much mirroring each other. It's like one's a defender, one's a midfielder.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. And I know there'll be rotation. I know with Champions League, he'll probably play a lot of the Champions League games, which means there'll be some Premier League games he misses out on. But at the same point, Conte will believe, especially with City and Liverpool dropping points already this season, he'll genuinely believe he's got a shot at the title. Like this is a serial winner. And therefore, he's not going to be wanting to rest players because it's Premier League. He'll be going for as long as that title is up for grabs, he'll think he can win it. So, yeah, in March, it might get to the point where they're not going to win the league and top 4 is safe. Therefore, you expect Sessegnon to get more starts. But when he can, he's going to give Perisic 60, 70 till the game is won and then bring him off. This guy won't get 90, but we know that.
It's going to be interesting next week because we've got the midweek games to see if Perisic... Exactly. So does Perisic come in and play again? I mean, I would have thought so, given that he's been subbed off early. Can he then play again? Can he play 3 matches in kind of 2 weeks? Or does Sessegnon come in for one of the next 2? That's going to give us a pretty good indication. Because, if Perisic is getting subbed off at 60, 70 minutes, maybe that is the kind of the rest period that he needs. And maybe he does kind of start, the vast majority of games. Doesn't mean Sessegnon's not going to play any, but maybe he'll start more than, 2 in 4 or 2 in 5 or whatever. But if we start seeing him, miss out completely over the next few weeks, then it's going to be tricky. It's really interesting because I saw people buying him before game week 3. Praz bought him, for example. I think the late rate riser maybe bought him as well.
Okay.
And I had him, and I was just thinking, I'm looking at selling him. I'm like, I can't believe people are buying
Risky
him.
buy there, wasn't it? Yeah.
Very risky buy. But people obviously want to run that kind of gauntlet with him. And like you say, you do get such a insanely attacking player, but he's going to frustrate and delight, I think, in equal measure.
Yeah, and there will be games where, because of the midweek fixtures, he starts. Spurs are cruising 2-0, 3-0 at half time against Nottingham Forest, and Conte brings him off at half time because he just doesn't need to risk him. It's like the game is won now. Let's hook him at 45, and he might be on a 1-pointer then. So you're right, he will frustrate at the same time. But I think the high risk, high rewards there for me that I'll keep my investment on Perisic for sure.
Yep. Let's talk about your kind of formation because you went 5 at the back last week. It's actually all of your attackers delivered something.
Yeah.
So Martinelli, Salah, Haaland, Jesus, and Tony. We all started big at the back. You've already mentioned Reece James, the double Liverpool defence. A lot of people have had. We've had Cancelo. Some people might have gone for Diaz as well. Loads of options in the back. Do you sense that there's a shift now coming from that? I mean, it's only been 3 weeks, right? But Trent. Liverpool look poor defensively. Cancelo is playing in this kind of slightly more withdrawn midfield role, which isn't bombing forward as much as we've seen him in last year particularly. We've got cheap options like Saliba doing well, like Neco Williams looking quite good. Cucurella's there at 5 million, Zinchenko's there at 5. Do you think you can see yourselves pulling some money out of the likes of Trent and Cancelo and moving elsewhere?
Well, it's funny because whilst most did start big at the back, I actually started with a back 3. I started with Williams and Patterson both at 4.0, and I've gone the other way. Game week 3 saw me invest more money in the back line.
Heavy
so I went Patterson to Zinchenko last week, so I put a little bit more money in my defence. I look at my back line and think it's quite well set in terms of where I want my funds. I don't think it's lighter than a lot of them because I don't have a Reece James in there, for example, or a Robbo. But at the same time, it allows me to have 4 very good, solid picks. Zinchenko's so cheap. I paid 5.1 for him. So I'm not looking to take out any money out the back line because I, unlike others, have got that third forward spot in Tony, for example. I've got an extra 3 million in my bank, 3.2, which will go into my midfield. So at the moment, I'm quite happy with the sort of balance. I like my back line at that sort of level. I don't want to go invest too much and go buy a Robbo or a James yet. But at the same time, I don't want to lighten it.
3 million in your bank.
3.2. So I sold Darwin, didn't I? I sold Kane to Darwin, loads of money in the bank. Then Darwin to Tony, loads of money in the bank. So the reason I went Zinchenko last week, not Reece James, was it banked me 3.2. If I'd gone Reece, I'd have had 2.5 or 2 point whatever. And it wouldn't have allowed me to go Bailey up to an 8 million mid. And I wanted to give myself flexibility over what 8 million mid I want to pick. And now I'm not sure I want any of them.
No.
But it allowed the Bailey switch to an 8 million mid. So that was my planned move ahead of game week 4. And we'll talk more about, I guess, where I go. But I allow myself that option at least.
It doesn't look like a team that has 3 million in the bank.
You were telling me to wildcard last week, mate. I got 60 points and now we're saying it's in good shape. It's funny how what a week does, isn't it? And obviously a 4-point hit.
It's a good point, actually. I was telling you to wildcard. Yeah, I wasn't the only one. The chat did agree with me broadly.
Oh, of course the chat agreed with you. I didn't expect them to say your team looks great, Gianni.
The day they do will be a dark day on this channel. Let's take a look at your team ahead of game week 4 then. So, I mean, your weak link, just like a lot of people's, is obviously Ward in goal. We talked about it pre-season, didn't we? And I think it was you were at Fest. And I was talking to you and Focal, and I said, "There's no way there's going to be a difference of 15 to 20 points between Ward and the kind of the 5 million goalkeepers." Well, I mean, he's had 3 back-to-back ones. It couldn't be much worse, could it? And then it's Chelsea next, and then it's United. Leicester bottom of all the kind of expected goal metrics. I think they're bottom for both attack and defence. They are statistically the worst team in the league for both metrics.
They did keep a clean sheet last night against Stockport.
They did.
And it was Iverson in goal, who saved 3 penalties.
Yeah. He could come in, Iverson, I think, because Ward is not impressed at all.
No, he had a howler I think it was game week 2, didn't he? What's funny is in both those game week 1 and 3, he was on a clean sheet after an hour. over 60 minutes,
Oh, I
but they
know.
never look like they're going to
No,
keep it clean, do they?
no.
So yeah, I mean, I guess I've got the option. I've got loads of money in the bank. I could very easily upgrade uh, this week, but at the same time, I'm like, if I'm wildcarding in a few weeks' time, do I want to waste a transfer on a goalkeeper? Which sounds silly. Of course I should. But at the same time, I look at the likes of Sanchez, and Raya. Both have got good fixtures, Brentford and Brighton, and 4.5 options. But I look at them and go, I wouldn't be surprised to see those guys concede to a Leeds or a Fulham because these teams are scoring goals. So at the same time, I'm not really, other than, I don't know, Edison, you can probably bank on clean sheets. I think Ramsdale's a great shout, but I've already got 3 Arsenal. Even Addison as a premium option, you look at, well, Liverpool shipping goals for fun. It's hard to know who's the goalkeeper to pick.
Well, you're in a kind of a similar situation to me because I think it's a bit of a no-brainer to do Ward up to a Sanchez. I mean, Brighton have got Leeds, Fulham, Leicester, Bournemouth, Palace in the next 5. I mean, there's some...
Yeah, but I think Leeds and Fulham in those first 2, I think they both score goals against Brighton.
Okay, fair enough. But he is making saves. He is at least doing a bit more than Ward does. I mean, what about Raya? Everton, Palace, Leeds, Southampton, Arsenal. Do you not? I mean, even if it was for a hit, do you not think either of those 2 goalkeepers outscores Ward by 4 points over the next 3 to 4 matches?
Yeah, I think they probably do. But if I do that, if I go to a 4.5 keeper, I then can't get an 8 million.
Well, that's exactly what I was about to say.
Bailey.
That is the position I'm in because I can downgrade my 8 million mid to someone cheaper to upgrade that goalkeeper, but then I lose.
You've got to go Gundogan.
Yep, got to go Gundogan, exactly.
Which I've considered too.
Yep,
but then I know I want Foden over Gundogan, who's an extra 0.5 and worth it. But then, as you say, what do you make in the difference of goalkeepers?
Yeah. So where are you leaning then? Are you I mean, I'll just read out the rest of your team. So you've got the rest of your team looks great, to be honest. Trent, Cancelo, Zinchenko, Perisic, Martinelli, Salah, and Bailey, who can be upgraded to anyone you want. For 8 million or less, Haaland, Jesus, and Tony. So it is a strong looking team. I'm not going to tell you this team needs a wild card. Where are you thinking of going with Bailey then?
Oh, I want to go back to my boy Phil Foden.
Back to Phil Foden.
I want 3 Man City assets for Palace and Forest at home, and then Villa away. Tottenham at home's hard, but then it's Wolves away. These are all good fixtures, probably before our wild card. The other option is, and people will be screaming at the YouTube now going, Luis Diaz, he's the same price and even better fixtures. And yeah, I don't mind that shout either. Like, I just don't quite trust that Liverpool attack in the same way as I do the City attack in terms of, I just know Foden's going to get bags of chances. I can't guarantee. Luis Diaz against United, for example, barely had a sniff. I've not looked at the numbers, but watching the game, I don't remember him doing much. But of course, Bournemouth and Newcastle at home are 2 good fixtures for Liverpool. So maybe an 8 million mid. Or I go down to a Gundo, who I think with the midweek fixtures will see a little bit of rotation. You know, Calvin Phillips can come in. Bilva can play in the Gundo role. He's not the youngest. He's rarely played consistently twice a week for City, Gundogan. He's never been absolutely nailed twice a week player. Yet Foden, I think, will, especially with the Grealish injury, especially with Mahrez playing poorly. And knowing what Pep said about Haaland, I know he said Alvarez will come in, and I'm sure he will at points. But if we're going to see Haaland missing some games, let's say he misses the Forest game, I want investment in the City attack. And I know if Haaland's not playing, he's going to keep Foden in there. There's a good chance it's not Alvarez that comes in at number 9. It's Foden. Foden was the guy that played number 9 all of last season. So sure, Alvarez will get some minutes, but I think Foden will get more, way more. And if he's not playing down the middle, he's on the left. I want investment in that City attack as always. And in the games, there's a lot of talk that it will be the Forest game that Haaland misses. And if it is, Forest at home, the conceding chances they are, like, I want Foden. But then that means I can't get a better goalkeeper. So I don't know.
You're so going to get Foden. I don't know who I don't know who you're trying to kid that you're going to get anyone else other than you've got the money to get Foden. You love Foden. Gundogan does tempt me though. I mean, he's club captain. Don't forget. I think there is his minutes aren't completely secure because obviously they've got Bernardo Silva there. But I mean, Calvin Phillips as well to potentially take that role. I mean, there is a few players that can operate in that role, but at the moment, I think Gundogan is really important to what City are doing because if Haaland's going to be the one creating the space for the midfielders, they need the best players bombing forward. And Gundogan is probably the best in the side at doing that, I'd say. Yeah. The awareness he's got and the positioning he's got to be in the right place at the right time it's picking them up points.
On the games where City dominate the ball, which is pretty much every game, but in the games when they have like 70% possession, which is when they're playing at home to the likes of Nottingham Forest, which we're going to see next week, Gundogan and KDB, both those sort of midfield eights, if you like, they're like both playing off the shoulder of Haaland. They are so close to him, aren't they? We know it's Rodri that sits. They only need one sitter in midfield, and the other two narrow midfielders are kind of playing just behind Haaland on his shoulder, or whoever the 9 is, which means they get so many touches in the box, get so many shots in the box. And you're right, Gundogan's got that eye for a goal, hasn't he? He's really composed in front of goal. And if I do go Gundogan, who's 7.6, he's had a price rise, I can still get to a 4.5 keeper. I've got exact funds. So I genuinely am considering Gundo. I do think it will go towards Man City, my investment. The other option is I go something like, I don't know, Nico Williams comes out, he's got bad fixtures, and I go Reece James. I got money. I go more money in the back line.
Sounds so good on paper, doesn't it?
It does. Like, I'm looking at these midfielders and I'm like, Reece James is 6 million and better than all these guys. Or I go Ward out and Ederson in and use my third City asset on a goalkeeper. So I've got a few directions to go in. Almost certainly the players I'm going to be selling, if I sell a player this week, it's going to be a goalkeeper, it's going to be Bailey, or it could be Williams. But every other position in my team, I'm locked on. So it'll only be one of those 3 guys I sell.
It's a weird season, isn't it? Because I can't. I mean, there's people burning transfers I've seen in the community. There's people like not wanting to move off. And you look at the players you've got: Trent, Cancelo, Zinchenko, Martinelli, Haaland, Tony, Jesus. Okay, Haaland. There's a bit of kind of unrest about his minutes, but we haven't seen any evidence of that yet. So I think until that starts, we're not going to see an exodus of him. But like it's a combination, I think, of just of pricing that was just too low for a lot of these players. But also the fixtures just sitting so nicely for players like Liverpool, for teams like Liverpool, for teams like City, teams like Arsenal, even Spurs now. Like, there wasn't any real reason to go for some of the lesser teams. I mean, I tried to do it with Villa, for example, for the first 2 with Dean and got completely burnt. Bailey hasn't exactly been ripping up trees. I'm just hoping that when we get to like game week 8, game week 9, the Champions League comes in, maybe some of these players like Martinelli start getting rotated a bit more. They aren't as kind of essential as we need, because you're right, they're locks. And I look at that team and I think there isn't any one of those players who I'd want to sell in the next couple of weeks other than Ward and Bailey. And we've never had that before, because there's always a gem that you can spot or something on the horizon that you want to kind of move to. So I do think we need something to kind of shake things up a little bit, and hopefully that will come in the next few weeks.
Yeah, like we saw even pre-season, didn't we? Like 10 of the 11 starting players for most teams were from Big 4 or Big 6 teams. But what I would say is this season we've seen Arsenal and Man City score 9 goals, right? We expect that at top. But outside of that, no team has scored more than Brentford and Leeds. Brentford 8, Leeds 7. Now, there are talismans for these teams that people aren't considering. Like, I bought Tony last week when he was 7% owned. I think he's up at like 14% now. But Tony has scored more points than any other forward in the game. He's level with Jesus. Rodrigo at Leeds is the best scoring player in the game. So there are still these gems. The problem is you're taking players out to bring them in that are still doing well.
Exactly.
Like, you're not going to take Martinelli out for Rodrigo, are you? Because Martinelli's done brilliantly, but they're in similar price points. So I do think we can look at some of those teams mid-table that are scoring goals that do have a talisman. So you could argue Callum Wilson at Newcastle, Wilfred Zaha at Palace. The 2 guys I just mentioned, Rodrigo and Tony, teams that are fairly reliable in terms of big chance creation, Brentford, Newcastle, Palace, Leeds, and maybe take a punt or 2, but you're not going to go get 2, 3, 4 of them. You're going to just go 1. I've got Tony. There are others that are going Rodrigo, fair enough. But yeah, it does seem slim pickings outside of the few players I've mentioned outside of those Big 6 teams.
Yeah, I think Wilson might be injured, by the way, which is
really
probably not a great surprise.
Didn't know that. Yeah, we never expected him to get to game week 4 without an injury, did we?
I think he's got a hamstring complaint, which might keep him out for
a bit. Because I did see Wood came on for him. I wasn't watching that game, but yeah, okay, so he came off injured.
Yeah, pretty standard. Excellent. I think we've kind of covered all the main things there. Let's talk Fantasy 5 before I let you go. I really want to win this. We say every week.
Yeah, big money.
I really want to win this. It's the 5 games of Brentford, Everton, Chelsea, Leicester, Liverpool, Bournemouth, Arsenal, Fulham, and Forest, Tottenham. Now, I think there's potential in all of these games.
Yeah, some high scoring ones.
I think these are five potentially high scoring games. So we can do this. I think the hardest one to probably predict is, or probably the lowest scoring, is probably Brentford v Everton. But like you said, Brentford are the highest scoring sort of team in the league.
And they're good at home. I do like Brentford at home.
So I think we go for a Brentford attacker. Then we've got Jensen at 6.5. We've got Tony at 6.5.
Oh, that's good.
De Silva at 7.5, which is interesting, and Mbomo at 7.5 as well.
Wow, Tony's cheaper than Mbomo.
Yeah, but Mbomo is a
midfielder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still.
So a clean sheet and a goal for Mbomo would get him his 7.5, whereas Tony needs two attacking returns. Yeah.
Probably Mbomo then.
I think we go Mbomo.
Who was really good. Like my mate was at the Fulham Brentford game, Fulham season ticket holder, and said, I've never seen him live before, but he's one of those players when you watch live and go, oh, he looks like a step above everyone else.
Yeah.
Like how direct and good and quick he is.
Yeah. If you are looking at Everton, they've got some cheap players. I mean, like Iwobi's 5.5, for example, so just needs a goal. Decore the same. Gordon at 6.5. Don't know what's going to happen with him. Is he going to leave for Chelsea? £60 million for...
I can't.
Game's gone.
we might be letting Hudson-Odoi go out on loan, who's like arguably a better player.
I don't get it. I don't get why Gordon would come in and Pulisic never plays and Hudson-Odoi's there. But I'm sure there were people in the comments saying the idiots and Gordon is the best. But for I don't think he's that big an upgrade for 60 million.
Madness.
And Demarai Gray's there at 7.5 as well. So there's a few players from Everton that you can consider. Looking at defence, I just can't really. I wouldn't back any of these players to keep a clean sheet. And they're all 6.5, so they all need at least a clean sheet and an attacking return. So I think we're right with going with Mbomo on this one. Chelsea-Leicester, then I think you've got to back the Chelsea attack, even though they've been really struggling, right? I mean, Havertz is 6.5, Vardy 6.5, if you're looking up top. In midfield, my boy Mason Mount, Money Mace, he's been awful. For FPL-wise, I thought 8 million, he'd be right up there, but hasn't done anything yet. He's 8.5. Sterling's 8.5. Someone like Callum Gallagher is 7.5 as well. The Leicester boys are cheap. I mean, Maddison at 5.5 just needs a goal.
He is the only Leicester player delivering.
He's the only. I mean, Tielemans is 4.5 if they do get a penalty. And then looking at defence, I mean, they're all kind of 6.5 or over. There are some, so the Chelsea ones. I mean, there's Leicester players at 6 and under. So James Justin, for example, is 5.5 if you think they're going to get a clean sheet. I don't mind that. I think the Chelsea players, I think, are just too highly priced to think they're going to get multiple attacking returns, whereas Maddison could get you one. And Koulibaly's out, isn't he? Because he's suspended.
Yeah, I think we'll see Cucurella left centre-back for the first time with Chilwell left wing back. So Chilwell against his old club with no Fofana there, who might be in the stands.
That'd be weird. Yeah,
it would be weird. I reckon Maddison's not a bad shout. He has looked as end of last season, start of this, he's looked as good as ever, hasn't he?
I think we go Maddison or Justin. I think we go Maddison. One goal. Yeah. Liverpool Bournemouth. Backing Liverpool in this?
We have to back Liverpool. And my FPL captain, as we didn't speak about, I think I'm pretty sure I'm going Salah.
Oh yeah, we didn't speak about your captain. True. I kind of just assumed it would be. I guess there are other options. I mean, Jesus at home to Fulham is a good option, but yeah, I mean Salah's 12.5 on Fantasy5 though. He needs to get a absolute monster haul.
Luis Diaz?
Diaz is 9.5.
What's Bobby?
Bobby is 6.5. I
mean, he's 6'5" for a reason, but you never know with Bobby. Like, he could go and get a couple of assists.
The thing is, I mean, Liverpool have been so poor at the back, and I look at all of Bournemouth's attackers. I mean, Solanke's 5.5, just needs a goal. Kiefer Moore 5.5.
Kiefer Moore could give him problems. He's so good in the air, and if it's Joe Gomez, he'll pin himself on Gomez. It
depends what Bournemouth decide to do, because they've kind of sat back in the last 2 games and allowed themselves to get kind of just. Just get beaten. I mean, City didn't. It took City a while, but eventually they were just outclassed them. And against Arsenal, didn't have much. I think if they sit back, it's going to be pretty comfortable. But surely you're playing Liverpool at the moment and thinking if we just attack them a little bit and press them, we can create some chances. Should we go for more of 5.5?
Yeah, I'm up for that.
Let's stick him in. Actually, just come back to that. Just take a quick look at the defence. No surprise. I mean, someone like Trent is 9.5, Van Dijk 8.5. Robertson 9.5, all really expensive. So you can go for Liverpool. There's no reason why they can't get these big hauls, but I prefer going for the ones who just need one attacking return rather than trying to predict who's going to get lots. Arsenal Fulham, then most expensive player, Gabriel Jesus, 10.5, Mitrovic, 6.5. And then you're looking at players like Odegaard, Martinelli, both at 8.5, Saka at 9.5, Andreas Pereira, 5.5. Don't mind that at all.
I don't mind that. What about Zinchenko? What's he?
Zinchenko's 6.5, so needs a clean sheet or a goal.
And an assist, though, yeah. I do think Zinchenko's... I could have gone Saliba and I went Zinchenko in FPL, which after a week, so, should I have gone Saliba? I'm pleased with my Zinchenko pick. I think he's going to get not bags of assists. I think he's going to get good attacking numbers.
I mean, I love Zinchenko, so I'm happy to go with Zinchenko or maybe Gabriel from set pieces.
Yeah, are they the same price?
Do we think Fulham score?
I'm not convinced Fulham score as
nor
good
am
as they are. I do like that Arsenal defence at home.
We should go Zinchenko then.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yep. He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant against Bournemouth. He's just such a... I would say he was underrated at City. I mean, he won the league with them, but he was never really first choice. They always kind of wanted to buy a new fullback or do something else. Yeah. But he's such a good player. He really is.
Yeah, and we still haven't seen him playing in his favoured role. When he starts playing in a fairly attacking midfield role, which is where he plays for Ukraine, we might look at him and go, he could have gone on and sort of been a regular City starter, which Pep didn't quite fancy him.
Yeah. And then the final game is Forest v Tottenham, which is an interesting one. I kind of fancy Forest in this game. I haven't been impressed with Spurs. Awful against Chelsea. Really poor first half against Wolves.
Poor. Yeah.
Went down early to Southampton as well. I think there's still work to be done there.
The first half against Chelsea was so poor. They were only good second half. I feel like the Spurs team still lacks a bit of a leader. Yeah. They need Conte at half time going crazy at them to then come out in the second half. Yeah,
that's absolutely right. So, I mean, looking at the kind of strikers, I mean, bloody hell, I mean, Forest have got so many now. Awanoyi, Johnson, Surridge is there, Dennis is there, they're all at 6.5. Kane's 10.5, Son is 8.5, but a mid. Kulusevski 8.5. Or you can have any of the Forest mids for less than 5.
Jesse Lingard?
Jesse Lingard is 6.5. He's the pricier one. Yeah, good suggestion. Perisic is 9.5.
Wow,
which is a lot. Emerson's 6.5 if he starts again. Tricky one this. I'm probably leaning towards Son at 8.5.
Yeah, I'd give Son a go. My concern of Son is minutes. He keeps getting hooked early.
That's true. Yeah.
What's Kulu?
8.5 as well.
Oh, okay. What about Emerson? You said 6. I mean, he's going to start. He's he's no Perisic, but the clean sheet could be locked, and then you just need an assist.
I'm happy with Emerson. If you think he's going to play,
I think we take a punt on Emerson. We haven't seen Doherty start yet in the Prem, so let's assume Emerson keeps his spot.
I'm a bit tempted by Perisic as well, though, to be honest. If he starts again, gets a goal.
I mean, we both own him in FPL, so it could be fun.
Let's go for Perisic. Let's live a little. I feel like Perisic will be like a fun Fantasy 5 pick, because when he starts, you can kind of be confident he's going to get you big returns. It's just whether he does or not. Okay, so that gives us Mbomo, Maddison, Moore, Zinchenko and Perisic. Like I said, if you've enjoyed this, do look at the links in the description to the video, or look at those QR codes and scan them in. Do give Fantasy 5 a go. Let us know your picks in the description, in the comment section as well. Gianni, I will let you go. Thank you as always for joining me. A lot of fun doing these. Hopefully the template can be shaken up a little bit. But enjoy your 3.5 million in the bank. I'm very jealous of that.
Yeah, we might see Gundogan. We might see Luis Diaz. We'll probably see Foden. We could see Edison. I look forward to that, and I'll probably make a call on Friday. I'm not worried too much about price changes. I want all the information. I want press conferences. I want time to sleep on it. I think I'll be making a transfer Friday or even Saturday morning.
Nice. Look forward to it. Right,
I'll let you go. Thank you, mate. Lovely to chat, and I look forward to seeing a nicer thumbnail this week, knowing I've had a good week.
Yeah, we got some happy ones of yours, so I'll definitely be using one of those. Yeah,
you'll need a lot of sad ones too, though, so for the season ahead.
That's very true. Works. Yeah, you're definitely going to be doing another photo shoot for me before the season's out. Yep.
Thanks, mate. Good to chat. I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, guys.
See you later.